TNT's call, the buzzer beater last night. Jamal Murray over Anthony Davis. Nuggets up 2-0. Big moment last night in the NBA. We're talking about the moment on Thursday night in Detroit. Mm-hmm. And I said, guys, the Jared Goff chant at the Red Wing games, not really my thing. At a Tiger game, not really my thing.
Okay, well, but let's make sure not your thing after the season was over, because during the season, during the Lions season, when the Red Wings were playing in the playoff run for the Lions.
Oh, the synergy was cool.
Chanting Jared Goff.
Yeah, I had no issue with the synergy while the Lions were playing and they were the team of the moment. Right. But when the Wings were in their own playoff race, I was like, this is weird. Like, the team has plenty to celebrate themselves.
Your Red Wings.
Yeah.
That button is so easy for you to hit.
I know. But I want to redeem myself, and I do think time and place, the Jared Goff chants should make their triumphant return to the city of Detroit on Thursday night, approximately, 8:09?
Yep. 10? No, 8:10.
8:10?
Well, I mean, okay.
I don't know how much time they're going to use on the clock.
I'm not sure what time or what time the draft will officially start. Like, a game says it's noon kick. Well, it doesn't kick till 12:07.
No kidding.
When's this kick going to be?
But I said we had a ticket text to bring this up yesterday. I don't want credit for it. I just want to push the idea further and forward. Jared Goff chants when Caleb Williams is selected. You could boo him. I think he could get booed. Everybody's fine with booing a guy who gets picked by the Chicago Bears. I think another level is we already have our number one overall pick. We got our franchise guy. This is his city. This is his division. We got our guys back. Who cares about the other guy? It's the same energy of the Lions playoff game against Matthew Stafford and the Rams.
I think this is an opportunity for Detroit, for Lions fans, to put their stamp on this draft, starting off, right? It's going to be a great 3 days in Detroit, a great weekend starting on Thursday night. And I thought you brought up a great point. Anytime, how about Caleb Williams? Who knows what the week one matchup's going to be? As soon as he takes the field, what are one of the highlights they're going to show is him walking on stage. Wouldn't you love that audio to include Roger Goodell making the pick, and in the background, all you hear is Jared Goff, Jared Goff. And then, every time that he plays, remember on draft day when he was drafted in Detroit, a rival, they're going to be playing that moment. They do anyway. So why not make your mark?
Ticket texters, Keith in Dearborn Heights. I hope Caleb literally feels the Goff chants in his chest as he walks across that stage. I'll be down there screaming at the top of my lungs if I wasn't working. I need that energy. Cookies, you redeemed yourself from a lot of bad takes. I love this idea, Joe, in a tractor. And then there's the pushback. Goff chants would be so cringy, we need to move on from it. What you're suggesting is classless and embarrassing for the city. Count me out. That's John in a car this morning. And another one says, I hope we're not fueling that fire.
Oh, pour some gas on it. Let's go. Light the match. Let's get this rolling, because why would we just want to welcome him to a rival into the NFL? Like, one of the great things that we have in sport, all right, we don't like to talk about hate in the world, all right, and where you could call it an extreme dislike. But sports is one of those where for 3.5 hours on game day, you can hate another team. There could be a little bit of hate in the air. And we don't have a game on Thursday night. We don't have one until next fall. This is game day.
Based on that salty Bears message, it seems like we're already in their heads. Jared Goff, LFG, reads an unnamed texter. You guys have to expect that from Gov, to be a coward about the Lions. He probably agrees with the text about finishing third in the division.
I don't agree with that. I think coward's a little strong, maybe. But I see his point. I mean, look, I'm still a little scarred. And me and Jamie used to do SOL like to the extreme, where we'd say, okay, this is really what's going to happen. I told you guys in the break, all right? I could imagine right now Jamie's up in heaven. He's with God, and he's like, wow, you finally got the Lions turned around. I wish I was there, but this is great to see. I'm so happy for my people, my family, and all that. And then all of a sudden, off in the distance, William Clay Ford's like, not so fast, my friends. And this is just another wing of the museum.
Your point is because it would live in infamy. if it backfired. If he turned out to be the great quarterback and slays the dragon and beats the Lions up and it's a decade of
what we've all said is this franchise, the franchise is 30 for 30 has not happened. That would be the beginning of the 30 for 30.
Stop it.
What if I told you?
Stop it.
What if I told you?
To you
I'm just
and
having
everybody
fun,
else thinking that. I'm sort of being fun, but also not. Stop it.
John,
we have a good effing football team.
Yep.
Stop it. What if Caleb gets really hyped up before the game? Then you're going to pummel his ass twice as hard into the turf because you're a good football team. How about we start acting like that?
I agree. They've done absolutely everything. John knows I absolutely love everything the Lions have done and built. I also have a little part of me still that believes that SOL is a spiritual being and it's got a lot of power.
Well, I don't. And
well, if we're all sitting back in 5 to 10 years, it wouldn't stun me.
I don't want to sit at that table.
I don't either.
I don't want to have that conversation. And we have it within our power to not, I say we, the Lions have it within their power. It is our team. So at times we can say we.
Yeah.
We have it in our power to not allow that to happen. He can be a good quarterback. Heck, he can even be a great quarterback. He just can't beat the Detroit Lions. He just can't be the guy that gets them over the hump.
The Lions need to get the last laugh. And if you believe in your football team, you believe that to be the case. And you're unafraid of poking the bear or egging him on. John, one other ticket text from you, I want to get your perspective on, because you are the moral high ground.
Compass.
Yeah, a moral compass is what I called you the other day.
Yes.
It's the ticket texter says it's about not showing class. This is his moment. This is his dream. He gets drafted. We would be ruining his dreams and being a classless city. Your response to that?
Have you not watched NFL drafts? Like, have you not watched NFL draft? This is part of the draft. This is when we celebrated 2 years ago that they announced that Detroit would be hosting the draft. It is our opportunity to boo those that we want to boo. There are going to be other fan bases. Do you think there's not going to be a large contingent of Chicago Bears fans, of Green Bay Packers fans, of Minnesota Vikings fans that are going to be in attendance? And then when the Lions make a pick, what are they going to chant? Caleb Williams? I mean, it just doesn't even go. Like, and here's the other thing. He's a rookie. He's going to be a rookie. Treat him as such. He has earned nothing at the next level.
Jared Goff, Charmin Soft, good old-fashioned booze. How should Caleb Williams be greeted when he shows up on stage, first pick for the Chicago Bears Thursday night? Coming up next, a Detroit staple has changed. We're not sure if it's for the better. John Jansen was in the lab. We'll get his results next. 97.1.
Brought to you by Hamilton Chevrolet. The Tigers feeling good about a 7-1 victory over the Rays as they opened up a road series in Florida. Dominant pitching with a heck of a start from Tarek Skubal. Home runs from Canna and Meadows. Aggressive base running and no errors. Manager A.J. Hinch asked if this was their best showing of 2024 so far. Also, Javi Baez now on a 5-game hitting streak, went 2 for 4 with 2 runs and an RBI from the 8th spot. Detroit is now 9-3 in road games and 13-10 overall. Spring football, the Spartans have a well-known name enter the transfer portal. Antonio Gates Jr., son of the NFL legend, putting his name on that list following the spring game. MSU did get its first 2025 commitment from Anaheim quarterback Leo Hannon, a 3-star who chose the Spartans over Virginia and Colorado. And a couple of close results in the NBA postseason. Jamal Murray hitting a jumper with 0.1 left on the clock in Denver as the Nuggets beat the Lakers 101-99. The Knicks also got a dramatic win over Philly 104-101, and not so close in Cleveland. The Cavs beat down the Magic with defense 96-86. From the Corewell Health Sports Desk, I'm Chris Villar. For more, go to 97.1 The Ticket and Odyssey.com.
continuing to take your responses on the best way to greet Caleb Williams to the NFC North, to the Lions division. Booing, good old-fashioned boos. Jared Goff chants, tone setter. Charmin soft, in the same tone as Jared Goff. Or you fill in the blank. The other conversation we want to have involves Saunders fudge.
I'm really trying to deal with a loss at this point. And here's what has happened. One of the foods, and everybody knows the passion that I have for food. I have been very straightforward with that. My opinions are well-founded, well-defined, and I have things that I love. I have things that I don't love. But when it comes to dessert, when it comes to those things that harken back to your childhood, and when you eat something, taste something, it invokes memories and the consistency of which you expect those products to continue to have. And then all of a sudden, something changes. And it's never the same again. That is what has happened with Saunders hot fudge. I think we may have talked about this. I know Heather and you and I have had this conversation. I think it might have been when Stoney was here. The bumpy cake was a news story. And Saunders has been bought and sold and gone through some hard times, but it's always been there. And the recipe has withstood the test of time. Now, after the pandemic, Saunders became very hard to find. And I had mentioned going into the local grocery stores, mom and pops that used to always have it. They always used to have it. Like when you walk in the door, it was one of the displays. And it's the Saunders, caramels, chocolate covered sea salt caramels. It's all the things that Saunders has to offer. But I couldn't find their hot fudge. Now you can't find much of it at all. You can find the Saunders candies, I think you can actually get at Costco. But the hot fudge, which is my favorite product that they make, you couldn't find the jars anywhere. And we have talked about it. And yesterday morning, my Monday was brightened because Heather Park walked in and said, Colin and I saw this weekend. We thought of you. They found a very small jar, not the iconic long, tall, skinny one, small jar of Saunders hot fudge. And I said, oh my goodness, this is amazing. Thank you so much. This is one of the greatest gifts somebody has given me in a long time.
A Christmas miracle.
It was. And I think you could probably see the joy on my face. And then you said, but wait.
Prepare yourself.
Colin doesn't think it's the same. So I instantly opened it up, took a taste. I opened it up and I looked at it and I go, it's not the right color.
Yeah.
Because there are dark chocolate versions. There's a caramel, but the hot fudge had a certain color and a certain texture that you could identify immediately. And I looked at it and I said, this is not the same. And I tasted it. And when I dipped my spoon in there, the texture, the stickiness was not the same. Tasted it. It has some similarities, but it's not the same. And so last night I went home and kids are tucked away in bed. Ruby had just come home from basketball practice. And so I sat there while she was finally eating dinner and I ran a little experiment. I took a scoop of it, a bigger scoop, and I wanted to see, because Saunders it's very thick as it sits at room temperature. You can turn your spoon upside down and it doesn't fall off. It makes it very scoopable if you just want a scoop of Saunders. So I took a scoop, tasted it, and I thought, it's just not the same texture. There's almost a little bit of a granular feel to it.
Like grainy?
So I thought, okay, let's take this a step further. I'm going to warm it up a little bit. And being a different size jar, it has messed with my warm-up formula.
And they're not making the big jars.
Right. And so
Also, you can only get the little jars now.
At room temperature, I would always put it in for 30 seconds stir it a little bit, another 20 seconds after that. That's the perfect amount of time to microwave your Saunders hot fudge. And so I did it, and it was a little bit too warm, so I let it cool down a little bit, and then I poured it on some ice cream.
That's the real test.
It's the next phase of testing.
Well, that's how I think of Saunders, is like with ice cream.
Right.
Yeah.
And with vanilla ice cream, it had very similar flavor, but again, it wasn't the same flavor. It's a little bit different. It still has the uniqueness that Saunders has, but it still did not have the texture. It was way too liquidy. And it had nothing to do with being warmed up a little bit more than I typically do. And so I tried it over some cookies and cream.
This is great, by the way. You're doing a series of science experiments in the
kitchen. I told you I was in the lab. Okay, John Jansen, I have an addiction. My addiction is ice cream with Saunders hot fudge.
One would call it the chocolate lab.
The chocolate lab, yes.
There we go.
Yes, not Willy Wonka. It's the John Jansen chocolate factory. And so I tried it then with chocolate ice cream, a little cookie dough ice cream, and it just failed to meet the standard every time. Now, it does have better flavor, better consistency than other, like there's the Smucker's one.
Mm-hmm.
That
so it's
has,
still better than
it's still better than the alternatives, but it's little different. Slice of my life has become unrecoverable.
And Colin did the exact same thing. When he opened it, he was like, oh no. And I was like, well, what's wrong? Did the jar break? He's like, no, this is different. They've changed the recipe.
Yeah.
And he said the same thing. He did not do the extensive
He didn't put a lab
testing.
coat on.
No. And he is eating it. He's had ice cream numerous nights in a row, and he's still using the hot fudge. But he has said, too, it is different. The consistency has changed.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where I'm still going to eat it.
Oh, yeah.
But every time, my kids will be exhausted with me saying, it's not the same. It's just not the same.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to talk more draft later in the hour, but this is a revelation in the Jansen household, and it may be a revelation to you. Saunders is one of the iconic Detroit brands. And yeah, we knew, like you said, transition, hard times, things get lost in the shuffle. Never the same. Foods that are never the same. They made the change, and either you won't buy them or it's just not the same to you. 248-539-9797. This was incredible watching you, because this happened before the show yesterday.
Yeah.
Opening the lid and doing your initial preliminary evaluations of the hot fudge.
I wonder if I wouldn't have said anything. Would you have noticed right off the bat?
Oh, yeah.
Like if I said, I think it's different. You would have noticed.
I would have noticed,
yeah,
because the texture is the first thing, and it's the color as well. It's darker than it used to be. And it used to, when you'd warm it up, some people would be like, "I don't want caramel." It almost had a caramel look to it.
Yeah, I get
not quite as light as some caramels are. But yeah, it's disappointing, and I will always have that. It's not the same reaction.
Okay, lines are lighting up. We're going to get some phone calls, but a couple ticket texts. We need to get this out of the way right away. I've never heard Sanders pronounced Saunders until today. Another one says Sanders, not Saunders. So
that's the great debate. It will never be settled. I did an event for Saunders, and I've always called it Saunders my entire life. That's how I grew up saying it. And people there, I asked the question, and they did say, well, there's no you. It's Sanders. But I always called it Saunders.
I did too. And you, tomato, I don't care. You can call it whatever you want. We all know what you're talking about. So
I didn't know this was a true crime podcast. The FBI needs to be alerted. Saundersgate 2024 reads a ticket text. Mm-hmm. Good grief, this Jansen guy knows how to drag out a story. We get it. The fudge was different. But you don't understand. It's true to who he is. I get it. I'm going, get to the point. But it shows you the thoroughness.
Yeah, I guess I could have said, it's not the same as it used to be.
248, what do you guys think? But it sells short the commitment to the guy.
Right.
He was sitting there in his kitchen with multiple ice cream flavors, microwaves. He's heating. Mm-hmm. There's heating and cooling taking place. Is it mixing properly? John has done the research. It's not the same. 248-539-9797. Apparently, John provided a ton of drops that just went over my head. We'll have to look back into that as well. And your phone calls.
Yeah, I want to know, other than Saunders, because they have changed the recipe, and it may just be one ingredient. Okay, I won't go down that road again. Anyway, what are the items that you either had as a kid that you've had repeatedly that are either changed and will never be the same or discontinued? There's a lot of them that have been discontinued.
Your responses, conversation rolls on, and yeah, we can keep fighting how it's pronounced, but you're not from Detroit if you call it Saunders, people. Come on, 97.1.
Wait till you hear this transition. Ideal You helps you lose weight.
Oh, come on.
You can lose up to 40 pounds in 40 days, and they'll help you with your addictions. If you got an ice cream addiction like me, they'll help you with that as well. That means you can lose 40 pounds before bathing suit season. That's right, lose up to 40 pounds by Memorial Day. Sign up now, and you're going to get a $200 Visa gift card. Book your free consultation right now at idealu.us. Ideal You is different than other weight loss programs. It really works, and it works fast. I lost 10 pounds in the first 10 days. I lost 60 pounds overall, and you can look it up on Twitch right now. I'm here for everybody to see. I'm clothed, obviously, but I have lost weight. I have kept it off for almost 2 years now. And with Ideal You, it's not shakes, bars, prepackaged foods. It's real whole foods. They're going to teach you what to eat and drink to lose weight. They're going to teach you how different foods affect you individually. And you're going to be in constant contact with a weight loss coach on a daily basis. And once you've reached your goal, they're going to teach you how to keep it off. Ideal You will help you lose up to 40 pounds in 40 days. Sign up now and get a $200 Visa gift card. Book your free consultation right now at idealu.us.
We got Lions draft on the brain at some point this morning when we're done talking hot fudge. We will get into the position most likely to be drafted by the Lions, according to the sports books. The core 4 positions in order of likelihood to be drafted by the Lions, and an acknowledgement that the draft is different under Brad Holmes. We're going to explore that. John told a story.
I made it a story.
Quite the story. John, we're only on till 10. Where you went through a series of experiments with the new Saunders hot fudge. And yes, some of you are saying it's Sanders. If I've grown up here my whole life. Heather, you told a story.
I was just saying, I grew up, my dad grew up in Detroit. He's older, and he's always called it Saunders. And when I grew up and we went to get Saunders, it was always Saunders. But I've been told it is Sanders, so whatever. Potato.
We all know what we're talking about. I don't want to get lost in the weeds on just how we're saying the name.
I want to get to people here, but just so everyone knows where we're at. You did the experiments, ice cream, vanilla, cookies and cream, just a spoonful by itself. You heated it up. You
forgot the one thing that I do as well is put it on fruit, like raspberries. I love raspberries. And because of the sticky texture, it sticks to the fruit. Like it's almost like it's chocolate-covered fruit. And it doesn't have the same coverage.
You were devastated. It's not the same.
Yeah.
248-539-9797. Foods that were forever changed that you just can't have anymore. And then you'll still have this, but it is forever changed.
Oh, there's other ones that are discontinued.
Like what?
Like the if you go to McDonald's, the deep fried apple pie.
Yep. Never the same.
Yeah.
Oh, remember you get that one? It'd come in that little
sleeve.
Sleeve.
Yeah.
Yes. And you get it out, and it's the first bite, you'd burn your mouth.
Caution hot, and it was so hot. Yes.
Never. When was the last time they served those? I can't even remember.
I think they did bring them back for a small period of time.
A lot of this stuff is through the guise of being healthier, right? It's a lot of sweets that have changed over the years or fried things that have changed over the years.
If I want to have something that's got a lot of fat, that's got a lot of bad things in it, let it be my choice. Don't change the fries.
Scott in Rochester Hills, good morning. You're on 97.1.
John, first time caller, long-time listener, never had the passion to call in before, don't know enough about sports to do so. I know Sanders. They changed it. John, thank you for exposing the fraud that hot fudge has become. We can't spend enough time on this story today, and you've done it, John. Thank you so much. I appreciate what you've contributed to the world as a result of this story. And yes, it's completely different. I did the exact same experiments you did, John. And, I thought I was the only one. I do call it Sanders, longtime Detroiter. My wife calls it Saunders, longtime Detroiter. Who cares? They changed the formula. You've done it, John. Let's bring this more to light. Thank
Scott,
you very much.
But before you go, let me ask you, what is your favorite ice cream? Or what is your favorite use of Sanders?
Yes, you've got two choices, John. You've hit the cookies and cream. I love that. Hudsonville vanilla with the old-time Sanders hot fudge is the key.
Yep, I'm with you, Scott. Thank you for calling.
All right, thank you. Yes.
Scott, good stuff. Some ticket text, and then we go back to the phones. Verner's used to be cane sugar. Now it's corn syrup since Dr. Pepper bought it.
I believe that.
A lot of these products have changed, whether it's a price factor for the company that's making it. They want to make it cheaper, and they think it tastes the same, but it does change something about the product.
I will never forgive Taco Bell for taking away the volcano menu. We got it for like a month after years, and then it's gone again. Travis and Celine. Says, I'm never been a big Cheez-It fan, but they came out with a sriracha flavor. I was addicted. And then one day it stopped. My friends and I still talk about it to this day.
It's the worst. You always fall in love with this product, and then boom, it's gone. I noticed something. I'm a big cereal eater and used to love Corn Pops, right? You could eat them, just stick your hand in the box and eat a handful. Well, recently got a box of Corn Pops. Haven't had them in a while. Completely changed their recipe. I don't know if they switched their sugar type or what it is. And I thought maybe I just got a bad box. Bought another box. And I was so disappointed. I almost wanted to call, they like on the back of the box, they leave like, contact us. I almost wanted to contact them and be like, what have you done to my beloved Corn Pops? It's forever changed, and I've never bought them since.
Yeah, and here's another one on Twitch. John's reaction is how I feel about the current state of Butterfingers. They do not taste the same ever since Nestle sold Butterfinger to the Nutella company.
Oh, bummer.
Stouffer's French bread pizzas. They changed the recipe a while back. Eddie writes in and says they've tried to switch back due to complaints, but it still isn't the same. Those are great in college. Just anything frozen you can throw in.
Yep. The other one is, now this goes good with Saunders, with ice cream, is the old Bill Knapp's cake.
Oh, yeah.
It's mass-produced now.
Yep.
And it's still good.
Yeah.
Just like Saunders is still good. But it's not the same as getting it at the restaurant.
I didn't realize it, but you're right. Growing up, we'd always do Bill Knapp's for my dad's birthday. And I had some recently, and it's not the same.
Nope.
Let's get to Steve in Rochester Hills. Steve, you're on 97.1.
Hey, John. I used to be a candy maker, and they have changed the recipe. Generally, what they do is they change the recipe for the main reason is because of cost. The second is because of availability. In this case, it's most likely cost, and it generally comes down to the sugar and probably the brown sugar. Now, not allowing it to either dissolve properly so that and bringing it to the right temperature so that you don't have that gritty taste. And in most cases, what they'll do is they'll take that product. They already know in advance they're going to change it, but they slowly change it so you cannot tell the difference until you're almost back to being, when they get to the final process, you just think it's the same. And in this case, they've actually probably just done it in such a way that it just didn't allow you guys to be able to enjoy it. For me, one of the things that I noticed that a change in that was disappointing, and it goes from way back, was McDonald's Big Mac, the special sauce. They changed the special sauce, and it just didn't taste good, and it had an aftertaste. And any product that has an aftertaste, and probably the Saunders, the hot fudge probably has a little bit of aftertaste. It just means they're not cooking it properly, and it makes a big difference. The apple pie you were talking about, and that cracks me up. They didn't do it for any other reason because people were burning their mouths and they didn't want to get sued.
Oh,
that was everything comes down to dollars. I hate to say it. It really does.
I know
Steve,
it does.
The idiots ruined it for the rest of us.
Yeah. Can't even get a hot cup of coffee anymore.
Well, that's just it. Or they have to have it laden with signs on it saying, it's hot, it's hot, it's hot. You're going to die. The other thing that bothers me is the other thing that bothers me was the ho-ho. The Hostess ho-ho was so good, so rich with flavor, and then they just changed it completely, and now it just tastes like a wax piece of chocolate wrapped with some kind of vanilla disgusting thing inside. So, it is what it is, guys. Hey, great to listen to you guys. Always great to talk with you guys. Have a great day.
Hey, thanks, Steve. And I've seen people say Hostess Twinkies, the recipe's changed because they were going to go away, and now they're back, but they're not the same. People have said that on the ticket text too.
The only way to eat a Twinkie anymore, because it is a little bit different, is the Twisket.
What do you mean?
What's that?
You take a Twinkie. Heather, you won't like it.
Okay.
And you split it down the middle,
Sure.
and you serve it like a hot dog bun, and you put brisket in the middle.
Yeah, definitely won't like that.
Oh.
I thought you were going to say deep fried.
I'll take a deep fried Twinkie.
I like both Twinkies and
The Twisket.
brisket, but I'm curious about the combination.
A little sweet and savory.
But you're Mr. Foods Don't Touch, yet you're just going.
Oh, I'm going all in on this one. Yeah,
okay.
it was a fair food. I thought, I'll try it, and I fell in love.
It sounds like a fair food.
We had a ticket text reference this. You haven't brought it up, but Jim, do you know about New Coke?
Yes.
You knew about it? Okay.
Yeah. They mess with the recipe.
Yep.
They changed from Coke Classic to New Coke. It's still in my mind unbelievable. I can't believe that got all the way to production. Like I think it's like the equivalent of drafting a kicker in the first round of the draft. I just don't know how that decision got all the way there. It was unbelievable how much they hurt their business, and it made Pepsi more popular.
While we have you at the mic, this one says that Coward Gov probably likes Hershey syrup over Saunders.
No. A new nickname. I like it. Why not?
Yes.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay, we want to get more response on this. We will get to Heather's news. And yes, the draft is in Detroit, and things are different with Brad Holmes at the helm. We'll talk about that, plus the most likely positions according to the sports books what they think the Lions are going to do. It's 97.1.
Hey, if you've been finding yourself wearing a hat more and more often, or maybe you're turning off your camera on those Zoom calls, it's time to deal with your hair loss. And it's time to talk to the guy who wrote the book on it, quite literally. That's Dr. Berkowitz at Michigan Hair Restoration. He is Michigan's #1 hair restoration specialist. And Dr. B can restore your hair and your confidence just like he's done for thousands of guys over the years. You can jump online and read all kinds of Google reviews from his patients who recommend Dr. B. And you know what? They all talk about how much younger and more confident they feel after their procedure. And they say they couldn't be happier with the results, many saying it's the best decision and investment that they've ever made. And Michigan Hair Restoration has so many more options than just hair transplants as well. There's lots of natural remedies Dr. B will talk to you about too, and he has treatment plans that fit almost every budget. And right now, they've got this special you can't miss. Call and book your consult. Speak to Maria. Make sure you mention 97.1, and you're going to get a complimentary natural hair remedy treatment valued at $1,000 at your consultation. That's your gift from Dr. B. And he's never offered this before, so call today. Download Dr. B's ultimate guide to hair loss and restoration at MichiganHairRestoration.com.
Little Dan Dickerson, and I say this removing all smarm from the situation. That was as complete a game as the Tigers have played in years last night.
Sure was. Start to finish. Good pitching, good hitting. Opportunistic.
Good base running.
Yeah. Good
Defense. Little Colt
Yeah.
Keith going air gosh to spare. Yeah. Scooble goes 6-inning shutout ball, 9 strikeouts. Bullpen shuts the door. They actually had a little pop, little power, Canna, and how about Parker Meadows' moonshot, 427 feet to straightaway center field.
Mm-hmm.
In the moment, just appreciating last night. Season total, 13-10. Well on their way to that winning April we asked for.
16-14.
One step at a time, 1 foot in front of the other.
Can I reevaluate and say 17-13 now? I just want more, a little bit more.
Only if they don't achieve it, you'll say they let you down. You willing to move the goalpost a little bit? Okay, keep it at 16-14.
Right now.
All right. Play again tonight against the Tampa Bay Rays. Some ticket text on food. We'll talk draft at 6:50. Brad Holmes, it's different. And what the sports books think the Lions are going to do by position. It's hard to find a name, but by position, the most likely direction for the Lions with their first selection. Ticket text says, did John have his white lab coat and safety goggles on? I love his attention to detail with his research. The Saunders fudge is not the same, concludes John Jansen. If people are just tuning in, we've asked you guys about foods that are just not the same anymore. Whether they've officially admitted it or not, you've done your own test. Your taste buds don't lie. Something's up. The new fudge is horrible. It says this is just like new Coke, reads another ticket text.
It's heartbreaking.
Have we tried the bumpy cake? Do we know if that has lost some integrity?
I have not. I haven't seen it, actually. And that's the thing, like, why the immense joy.
Well, remember, they did say that there was going to be a shortage for a minute of this bumpy cake because they needed to find a new bakery to make it.
Yeah.
The last time I had it was right before the big shortage.
Yeah, yeah. And my joy yesterday was because I haven't been able to find Saunders hot fudge. It's not been in the grocery store, so all of a sudden,
I knew it would be great.
yes.
Sun Chips had a cinnamon flavor. They're gone. Never to be heard from again.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I didn't even know that existed.
I would have liked those.
Ticket text says Captain Morgan changed an ingredient to Madagascar vanilla. You can tell the difference. I'm a bartender. Most people don't notice, though.
Okay.
It's a lot of research as a bartender.
It's a sophisticated palate.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And Ticket Texter says Scooble is winning the Cy Young for sure.
I mean, he started off certainly on that road.
I've got where he's at as of today. 10th in all of baseball in ERA. 2nd in whip. 5th in batting average against. And he's got 35 strikeouts, which is the 6th most in baseball. So, yeah. Cy Scooble, very real. It's a thing, guys. 5 starts in. He's arguably as good as any pitcher in baseball. 248-539-9797. So we've got the fudge. We've got the baseball. We're going to get into more of the draft. Let's get Tom and Lake Orion final thoughts. You're on 97.1.
Morning, guys.
Good morning.
I enjoy your show as always. Hey, first of all, I actually knew Mr. Saunders. He used to coach summer baseball. He was very involved in that Cranbrook community. And he had the summer baseball team back in the day. And just a quality old man that I loved playing for. But his name definitely is Saunders.
Okay.
No one called him Coach Saunders. They used to also have this product called honeycombs at his chocolate company, which they've gotten rid of altogether. It was chocolate with this liquid honey in the middle, which was unbelievable. I can't believe they got rid of that. But the product that changed that I still can't get over to this day is there was a Girl Scout cookie back in the day called the peanut butter patty, which was a wafer, with a big glob of chocolate on top, covered in chocolate.
The
and they gradually got rid of more and more of that peanut butter, and now it doesn't even exist anymore. They changed it to a tag-along, which barely has any peanut butter on it at all.
It's disappointing, isn't it?
Hugely.
Yeah. It's like a slice of you has died.
Well, I wonder, there's 2 different makers of Girl Scout cookies.
Yes, there
and
are.
one is a tag-along and one is the peanut butter patty.
And they still exist. I just looked it up.
I wonder, I wonder if the original is still the same or did they both change?
You cannot get that same peanut butter patty with that big glob of chocolate on top anymore.
Bummer.
Lost forever. And by the way, yes, someone has said, is it Barry Saunders or Barry Sanders?
Yeah. No, that's fine.
I know what it looks like.
It could be Sanders. That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm not going to change how I say it, and I don't mean any disrespect to the Sanders family.
Right.
Wouldn't you love to know the origin of how that started to
how
shift?
I know.
Because he was Sanders. If you're believing the caller, no reason not to believe him.
That's how it's spelled.
Right. Just
How
how did it
did
take
we-
on? Because it.
I don't know, but it's taken that on ages ago.
I don't know. Maybe
Ages ago.
it was Stoney's butler. So would you like some Saunders?
It's like Malachi.
Yes.
It is that generation's fault because it gets passed down, right?
Uh-huh,
I mean,
it
that's you
does.
grow up and
It
you hear
does.
it, and that's what you think it is.
I'll make sure tonight when I see Stoney that it was that generation's fault.
That generation.
Those people. All right, 248-539-9797. Heather, what's going on with the news?
Well, let me tell you. A Warren man was arraigned on Monday on child abuse and unsecured firearm charges after his 8-year-old son shot himself in the head. 56-year-old Theo Nichols is accused of not properly storing his handgun, which was then used by his son to shoot himself on Friday afternoon. His bond was set at $250,000, and if convicted on the charges, he could spend more than 25 years in prison. Because remember, in February, there was a new state law that went into effect that requires gun owners to keep firearms stored, unloaded, and locked when you're in the presence of a minor.
Did his son die from his injuries?
He's still hospitalized.
Is he?
Okay. Yep. Hey, this is good news. 2 Michigan high schools rank among the best in the nation. The International Academy of Oakland and the International Academy of Macomb ranked 8th and 18th, respectively, on the U.S. News and World Report's 2024 edition of Best Overall High Schools. That's great news. So the International Academy of Oakland is actually new to the top 10 list. Last year, they placed 54th, so a big jump for them. Like I said, while that's great news, Michigan saw its overall ranking slip 5 spots to 31st place. And they looked at, obviously, state assessments, graduation rates, college requirements, things like that.
So the two that are good, they're like probably private schools then, I'd
They're
assume.
magnet schools,
Okay.
I believe. Yep. A West Michigan Golf Club will soon expand with a new golf course. Acadia Bluffs Golf Club, which is on the shores of Lake Michigan, is going to build something called The Dozen, a 12-hole golf course. So currently it features 2 golf courses, the Bluffs course and the South course. But this new addition was just announced on Monday on Instagram. They posted a rendering of the course map, and they say it is set to open in 2025.
So I know golfers in my life love Arcadia Bluffs. I'm not a big golfer. What's the market for a 12-hole course? Like, do people ticket text in, let us know, because is this something people are excited about? Like, normally people play 9, they play 18.
Yeah.
12 feels like a weird niche market, but maybe
obviously it's real estate.
Yeah.
Do you just play 6 holes twice?
I don't
And to get 18.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have to ask the golfers on that one.
Yeah.
Please let us
Not
know.
me. A Florida couple was arrested after allegedly making a fake lottery ticket with hopes that they would win $1 million.
Oh, boy.
Yes. Kia Enders and her boyfriend Dakota Jones, they attempted to trick lottery officials into giving them this big, massive prize by taking 2 scratch-off tickets and they spliced them together to form one winning ticket, right? So the tickets were ripped horizontally with the top half of one ticket and the bottom half of the other, and then they were carefully pieced together to show that it was a big $1 million winner, right? And they thought it looked so legitimate, they went and took it to lottery officials, right? Dropped it off in March, and when they went to check on their winnings days later, they were met with handcuffs instead of the big money. Completely obvious because they said, hey, lottery officials could see that there were 2 serial numbers instead of 1, right? And then they had this whole elaborate story that they told police that, it had been in the rain when it was scratched off and it had ripped, and then they taped it together, and no one bought it. Anyway, they were arrested and charged with forgery of a lottery ticket with intent to defraud, passing a forged state lottery ticket, and larceny. I mean, you got to think you're going to get busted,
Yeah,
right?
I mean, come on.
You tape 2 lottery tickets together. It's pretty obvious that it's not the winner. This is interesting. If you live near the southeast Michigan border to Ohio, and you might have thought you felt the ground move on Sunday night, you might not have been wrong. There was a 2.3 magnitude earthquake that was confirmed 15 miles from the border. Yeah. And so
That was
far.
when? Sunday?
Yeah.
Huh.
I obviously wasn't in that area, didn't feel anything, but so far, no reports appear to have been made by any Michigan residents who felt the earthquake. But if you did feel it, you can go and report it. And also, they say Sunday's earthquake marks the second one felt in the area in the last month. On March 18th, a 2.5 magnitude earthquake was reported just a few miles southwest in Millbury, Ohio. And people did confirm they felt that one here in Michigan.
What time on Sunday? They just said evening?
Yeah, Sunday night.
Okay.
Why, is there something that took place?
Yeah,
that you're
why-
wondering?
what is
I was
happening,
in that area.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you were?
Yeah, but it would have been early evening.
Didn't feel the earth shake.
I did not.
Thought there was some kind of setup here. Well, that's when blank happened.
Yeah,
Come on.
so did I.
No. Yeah, somebody fell down.
All right, Heather with the news. By the numbers, the position most likely to be drafted by the Lions, according to the sportsbook, will give it to you in order, plus Brad Holmes and why things are so different. It's 97-1.
Hey, the road to the NBA Finals starts now, and new customers on FanDuel can go on their own playoff run with $150. Just place any $5 bet, and you're going to get $150 in bonus bets, win or lose, to use during the rest of the NBA playoffs. And you can bet on anything from the number of three-pointers made, the dunks in the game, over-under point totals, the money line, first basket score. There's so much that you could bet on. Just go to FanDuel.com/Jansen to get started. That's FanDuel.com/Jansen. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA, and 97-1 The Ticket. Must be 21 or over and present in Michigan. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as now in trouble. Bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problems? Call 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help.
odds from FanDuel, most likely position to be selected first by the Lions. We'll actually break down 1, 2, 3, and 4 in order. Couple quick ticket checks on the 12-hole golf course Arcadia Bluffs is going to roll out.
Yeah.
There is no market for the 12 holes of golf, but Arcadia Bluffs has the money, so why not? I've never once heard anyone in my life say they wish they could play less golf. Another one says, why not just play 18 or 9? There is zero market for a 12-hole course. 12 holes, I need 18 to go with the 18-pack of ice-cold adult pop. Keep your 12 holes. I'll pay for an extra 6. That's Scott in Tecumseh. Oh, another person blames that generation, says this must be for old people who can't play 18. The 12-hole course.
Okay, well, I mean, if you don't like it, then don't go.
Right.
It's
just
probably
was
good.
odd.
It's probably good. It is odd. It's probably going to be a beautiful course. And if you want to go get 9, get 9. You want to get 12, get 12. If you want to play an extra 6, get 18.
Right. You could just play the first 12 on an 18 and go home if you want to.
You could.
Just, we're calling it here. Clubhouse is over there. Hop on the cart.
Yeah.
Let's go get some food, go home. All right, the odds. The number 1 position most likely to be drafted by the Detroit Lions is the cornerback position, plus 130 on FanDuel.
Not surprised. It's a need. And we know, okay, don't go down the road. Brad Holmes is going to draft best player available, but they have hosted more of their pre-draft visits have been corners than any other position. It's one that they are researching. It got a little bit more complicated. Yes, they did address it in free agency, but when Cam Sutton was relieved of duty, it got a little bit more complicated, and that need arose a little bit more. It also opens up the prospect of what I believe is happening to be maybe a little bit more likely. If they're going to go corner, do they just sit there and take Kool-Aid McKinstry or the like, or do they say, hey, these are our top 2 corners in this draft, and if they fall down the board a little bit, which I think they will because of the quarterbacks to be taken, the wide receivers, the offensive linemen, a tight end, defensive lineman. Now all of a sudden, 15, 16, which is within striking range of where the Lions can get to, they can address best player available with a need.
The perception 2 days away is this is an offense-heavy draft. Could be 4 QBs in the top 10, at least 3 receivers in the top 10. We have all the offensive linemen that could go before the Lions pick. Corner, the betting favorite. Defensive lineman / edge is plus 230. I think that same thought that someone may fall or they may go up and get a guy who's falling. Offensive lineman plus 340. Wide receiver plus 500. Then the drop-off. Safety plus 2,200. Linebacker plus 5,000. I'd love an offensive lineman. But it's got to be the best player or Holmes isn't going to do it. But I'd love them to reinforce the offensive line. That's going to be the thing that makes this not a, hey, you got to go win the Super Bowl this year or else. It's you're going to have a ton of cracks at the Super Bowl because the line's going to be stable moving forward. Mm-hmm. Receiver, it's in play because there's a bunch of good receivers in the draft, and if they're sitting there at 29 and someone falls in their lap, don't put it past Brad Holmes. That's the thing. He has changed the way we view the draft. It used to be, and I'm just speaking for myself, but I think most people can relate, the idea that they might screw this up, edge of your seat. How's this going to go? Some of the edge has been taken off. Some of the drama has been taken away. You trust this guy. There's a confidence that even if he colors outside the lines and takes an off-ball linebacker or a tight end or a running back in the first, he's built up the cachet, the trust, and people are confident.
At some point, there's going to be a swing and miss. But we do have confidence, whether he's drafting first round, second round, third round, fourth round, like he has been able to hit in almost every level of the draft. So you're looking at it going, okay, well, there are some question marks. There's some guys that didn't pan out, but nobody is trying to hold him to a standard of every single draft pick. Now, at one point last year, even at the end of the year, every single draft pick in his 3 years was on the roster. So there were quality picks. They were getting depth out of those picks. And now with free agency and all that stuff, they've been able to position themselves to take best player available. And when you do that, your chances of hitting on that player go up. Instead of having to take a position of need that maybe you've got a late second round grade, but man, we really need this position, and you take them versus I just want the best football player that is available. So there's confidence that he'll do that. I also would use the term excitement. I'm excited about who the next first-round pick of the Detroit Lions is going to be. I'm excited about every single pick that Brad Holmes will make because of the potential that they add quality to this roster.
Well, you had challenged me before the show, like, all right, best pick, worst pick, and like there were so many more options for best pick, and there's only a couple options for worst pick.
Right.
I mean, you could say Sewell, you could say finding an All-Pro in St. Brown in the 4th round. I think Ali McNeil in the 3rd round. Like, there's so many picks. That's just in one draft,
right,
that have done very well for Brad Holmes. Levi's maybe the only bad one. There's maybe a head scratcher here, head scratcher there. But yeah, the idea is you feel pretty good that this guy's going to go in with 3 picks in the top 75, unless he moves. And he's going to get good football players, regardless of position.
Yeah, and when you start, that first draft, I mean, he absolutely nailed it with Penei Sewell, Amon-Ra St. Brown in the 4th, Ali McNeil in the 2nd. Derek Barnes made a big contribution last year with the interception against the Rams.
Redeemed himself, yep.
Yeah, and so you nailed it. And then it leads to the question of, now that we're 3 years in, and we'll be doing this more as we go, like, what is the best draft by Brad Holmes? Yep. Is it his first, that he actually, absolutely knocked it out of the park, or not as big of a sample size, but is it the 4 picks that he had last year in the top 4 picks of Gibbs, Campbell, Laporta, and Branch?
Or is it this year's draft? Tony in Detroit, you've been waiting a while. Do you want to target a position we really haven't talked about and a player we haven't talked about? Tony, good morning. You're on 97.1.
Hey, good morning, man. Thank you for taking my call. Hey, buddy. How y'all doing?
Good.
Good. Listen, and I want to tell you, I appreciate your opinion. And I'll be listening. I'm telling you, this is almost like me being Brad Holmes. So I'm doing this simulated draft on the computer, right? And I keep saying to myself, not to pass up this linebacker that I like, Adrian Cooper out of from Texas A&M, I believe. And he's a coverage linebacker, speed, he can blitz. And I always say the one thing, I like to see a Fred Warner on this team. And I know we got Jack Campbell. So I just want to know there's 2 guys I like. And the other guy is the corner out of Oregon, Kyrie Jackson. And I would be happy with those 2 picks, at 29 and 61.
So you're talking Edrin Cooper, not Adrian.
Yeah, Cooper,
yeah. He was
right.
all pro guy, Texas A&M linebacker.
He's the number 1 linebacker on the board at 29, and that's why I keep saying I can see Brad doing it.
He is not afraid to draft a position that the league kind of doesn't value.
Right.
The stand-up linebacker. You said coverage linebacker. He did have 8 sacks. He's a good athlete. I don't know if he's going to go in the first. I haven't really heard anybody talk about him in the first. Doesn't mean it won't happen.
No.
The other name, Kyrie Jackson, 6'3" corner. I think was at Alabama before going to Oregon. Played in 2 good defenses.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, had good football players.
Adrian Cooper is a guy that I've identified in the 2nd round as, if they wanted to go linebacker. I don't know that he'll be available at 61, but it could be one of those if Brad stays at 29. At 61, he decides, hey, I need to move up to 50 to get Coop.
248-539-9797, talking all things draft. We've got Ross Tucker, who will join us from CBS Sports Westwood One. Ross Tucker podcast, friend of John Jansen. Some thoughts as the Lions approach the draft and how they could be trendsetters. A heads up, tomorrow at 9:02, Dan Campbell joins the show.
Awesome.
24 hours away from the Lions head coach being on the show. Sorry, Ross, you got to be
upstage.
Upstage. Ross Tucker next, 97.1.
Brought to you by Bill Brown Ford. Tarek Scooble's ERA now down to just 1.82. They're ace dominant again with 9 strikeouts in 6 innings, a scoreless outing that puts him at 3-0 on the season. The Tigers getting plenty of offense behind him as they won 7-1 to begin their series in Tampa, and Scoob feeling pretty darn good about his stuff lately. Skubal has the third best ERA in the American League for starters who have had 5 starts and has the most strikeouts among them. Mark Hanna, also a big day, 3 for 4 with 2 runs, 2 RBIs, and a solo home run in the first inning to get things started. Lions fans wondering who will wear number 1. Cam Sutton's open digit is currently unclaimed after new assignments were listed by the team. Wide receiver Jameson Williams assumed to want his old college number after it was vacated by Sutton. We do know that new free agent addition DJ Reader going to wear 98. New corners Amik Robertson and Carlton Davis III will wear 21 and 23. Big collapse by the Islanders in the NHL playoffs. They gave up 5 unanswered goals in the final 27 minutes, including 2 that were 9 seconds apart. They lost to the Canes 5-3. Elsewhere, the Leafs beat Boston 3-2. Vegas took down Dallas 4-3, and Edmonton all over LA 7-4. From the Corewell Health Sports Desk, I'm Chris Villar. For more, go to 97.1 The Ticket and Odyssey.com.
Yeah, I love giving Scooble a lead early in the game and letting him work. Dan Dickerson on the call. Draft 2 days away. Ross Tucker threw out trading back is what he wants the Lions to do or sees the Lions doing. John, your push is always, well, takes two. But I think the scenario would be one of those quarterbacks, a Penix or a Nix, is there at the end of the first round. Someone still needs a QB, and there's your trade partner. Now you move back, and Holmes ends up with another pick inside the top 100.
Yeah, and I mean that you got to have a trade partner. If you do, there's no problem moving back. I don't have any issue with that. I'll take more bites at the apple with Brad Holmes. And really, part of the excitement about the draft and the confidence is, do you want to give up some of that capital to go up and get the guy that you really want? Or are you okay with trading back, getting more capital, and getting more players that you believe are going to be like the ones that Brad Holmes has already drafted? Like it's a kind of a win-win scenario.
Well, he's done both, right? He traded up to get J-Mo. He traded back last year where he took Gibbs and got the extra pick for Laporta. Listen, if everybody loves the idea of moving up because you're going to get a guy, it's bold, you're confident, conviction, and Holmes has talked about those things. He's also talked about trading back. To me, if you're trading up, it's because you think you're getting a guy who's an impact day one dude.
Yep.
I think it's harder to find those guys at corner, right? Sauce Gardner's kind of an anomaly, and he was taken in the top 5. You're not moving up to 5. If you take a corner, chances are they're probably not plug and play as a rookie. Chances are. There may be an exception, and maybe that's Holmes' eye for talent. He finds the exception. The other thing you could move up for, they've talked about, is offensive line. Well, 5 guys up front are all solidified. You'd be trading up to get a guy who's not an impact guy.
A starter.
Day one. That doesn't mean they still wouldn't be cornerstones. But, John, part of me doesn't see the point of trading up to get guys who aren't playing this year. You can still get cornerstones in rounds, late round 1, 2, 3, and Amon-Ra was in the 4th. Unless you're trading up for a guy who's playing right away, I'd rather move back.
You know, it's again, it's a win-win, I think, with Brad Holmes. Whether you stay, you move up, you move back, and get more capital. I don't know. I'm in between. I really like the idea, and I'm trying to find out and play the scenario in my mind. Is it that I want the excitement for us because it's here in Detroit, and I know
screw that.
But I just simply want an impact player. I want somebody that can come in and be good at day one, and I that's why I really believe if it. Doing this in my head, the mental gymnastics as we talk, because it's been the mental gymnastics I've been going through for the past month talking about the draft. What is it? So I'll ask you this. Is there, and I like the fact that there aren't needs on the team. Mm-hmm. They can go anywhere with this pick, literally anywhere. But is there one, if you say this is the most ideal position? I don't even want to use need, but ideal position to take in the draft.
That's a great way to put it. Ideal position, I want them to go offensive line. Because I see Ragnow's got 1 year, or he's year to year, and Decker's got 1 year left on his deal. And the surest way to go from the edge of the Super Bowl back down would be the offensive line crumbling, because then Goff is not the same. Then the run game is not the same. Then 4th and 1 is not as gettable. 4th and 2 feels like 4th and 4 or 5 because you don't have the dudes up front that win. To me, it's offensive line.
So let's take it a step further. Offensive line. And if you're not getting that impact starter right now, and if the scenario plays itself out that, hey, all 5 guys play the entirety of the season. Not likely, but sure. if they play the entirety of the season or the majority of the season, do you take a tackle that might be able to help inside as well?
Yeah, swing guy.
And in the thought that, okay, Taylor Decker is in his last year of his contract. Do you want to extend him? He has talked about being in conversations with extending him, playing his whole career here. Eventually, Sewell is going to go over to play left tackle. Do you want to continue to have that roadblock in place that is Taylor Decker, or just make the move? Taylor Decker lives with it if he wants to stay here, and you draft your next right tackle. That can in the meantime, be a guy that can sub in for you at other positions.
Yeah, I feel like the offensive line pick is an eye on the prize pick. This is foundational football. This is what wins games. I would love the offensive line. The thing that people continue to point to as most likely is corner. I'm not going to be mad if they sit at 29 and draft a corner and a guy who
would
contributes.
You be upset if they moved up to get a corner?
That guy better be a guy that makes an impact right away. Otherwise, I'm giving up capital, right? I'm giving up second or third round picks to go up and get a guy. He has to be a cut above.
Okay, so if that's the case, and I understand that, I don't want to argue the point. I would always prefer to take an offensive lineman. But Amik Robertson, do you think he is a CB1 or CB2 in this league?
No.
All right, so then you have the opportunity to trade up, get a corner that might be a day one starter.
And they've done their work.
They have. They've had a lot of them
and Arnold, the corner out of Alabama. They've done their work on those guys. We're going to talk about draft night in the moment and the opportunity for the city of Detroit. When Caleb Williams gets selected first overall for the Chicago Bears, how should he be greeted? We'll get to that after the news with Heather.
You guys, there is a serial pooper on the loose in Dearborn, defacing headstones and grave sites.
Oh,
at
wow.
Northview Cemetery.
In a graveyard?
Yeah. Yes. The Dearborn Police Department has been called to the cemetery 7 times since February 25th. That's when they received their first call about this pooper on the loose. A spokesperson says this is random, always picking different locations each time they go. So far, police have 0 leads. But they do say this pooper wears dark clothes, a hoodie, and leaves a big mess behind, including used toilet paper.
Oh, so he actually drops trow and does it there.
Yeah. And I'm
so
glad
he doesn't
he
come
said
prepared.
Yeah. Because it's got to be a man, right?
I would think so,
ladies.
yeah. I mean,
you never know. You don't know. But
serial killers, serial poopers. I'm guessing majority of them are probably dudes.
I do too, but you
never
just
know.
don't know.
And there's no leads.
No leads except the poop, which, I mean, I guess technically you could run a DNA test on, but they said, hey, we don't got time for that. We've got more serious crimes that take precedent over poop. But, it could happen. You never know. A man and a teenage girl have been arrested after a large fight at a Warren High School broke out on Monday and landed a police officer in the hospital. So Warren police officers were called to Lincoln High School. This was right before 3 p.m. as school was letting out because there was a big fight that broke out, including, several people. When officers showed up, they went to arrest an adult male. But during that arrest, they say this teenage girl interjected herself and began to assault a female officer. They believe that she hit the female officer on the head from behind, and the officer just went right down to the ground. That officer is currently listed in serious yet stable condition at the hospital with a possible concussion. And the investigation is still ongoing. They believe, though, that neither this adult male or this teenager were actually students or affiliated with Lincoln High School. Mm-hmm. They were just there. And they have not said what prompted that initial fight or who else may have been involved or arrested. Crazy. And they got to decide if they're going to charge this teen. I don't know her age, just a teen as an adult or as a juvenile. We'll see. Oh, you guys, listen to this. A Milwaukee Brewers pitcher had to be taken to the hospital after being hit in the neck by a ball during batting practice on Monday afternoon at Pittsburgh's PNC Park. Oh, my goodness. The medical staffs from both teams were there to treat Jacob Junis on the field. They treated him for about approximately 20 minutes before they loaded him in an ambulance, took him to the hospital. The Brewers did release a statement saying that he is conscious, alert, and responsive, and that he was basically taken to the hospital just for further evaluation to make sure he's okay. But man,
I was looking more into this story because it just says the neck. Like, I don't know if he was hit, was he facing away and hit the back of the neck, or was he hit in the throat?
Like the esophagus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The scariest injury I ever had was taking a karate chop to the neck in my esophagus, and it was so scary, and I mean couldn't talk for like a week.
Yeah, probably
the test that they had to do, it was awful.
Yuck. So according to some non-scientific data, Michigan Costco shoppers love the Kirkland French vodka. That's apparently their number one item they buy at Costco. The most popular items besides that at Costco include the Saunders sea salt caramels.
Okay.
That's on the list.
That.
The Kirkland maple syrup.
We do that
Do
all
you
the
do
time.
that?
Yep. Affordable.
Do you happen to have a Woozu Globe fan at your house?
No, I don't have.
It's like the Circle fan.
Well, apparently that's super popular.
Really?
I don't have one, but I looked it up.
Does it glow?
I looked it up too. No, a globe.
Oh, globe. Oh,
fan, not glow
Is it
fan.
like a
Although
nightlight?
that would be cool
Yeah,
if it was a glow fan.
yeah.
If you haven't had these are to die for. The Reese's dipped animal crackers.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
And
Sometimes it depends on the Costco you go to.
Oh, they're
They don't
so
all
good.
have-
No, they
yeah.
don't all have them, but of course you get the giant Costco bag. They're great. And then of course Costco gas.
Yep. Who doesn't get Costco gas?
Me.
You're not a member, I take it.
No, I am a member. I love Costco. I just went yesterday.
You don't get the gas?
Heather.
She's yep. Yes.
That's right. Yeah.
Yes.
You got to find a plug-in somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you plug in there? Is it
do.
a discounted electricity?
I'll have to ask next time. Heather with the news.
Where can I put my extension cord?
It's 97.1. We have a chance as a city to rise to the moment. Thursday night, the draft is in our backyard, downtown Detroit. And with the number 1 pick, it's the Chicago Bears. They're going to draft Caleb Williams, and he's going to be greeted with
Jared Goff.
Yes.
Jared Goff. Jared Goff.
And don't get me wrong, old school booze will do the trick, and I'm sure that's, how it goes most cities, most years. This is our rival, one of the rivals of the Lions. This is Jared Goff's division, his city. He's a number 1 pick, and I do feel like the most appropriate way to greet Caleb Williams is with the Jared Goff chants. And I want to know if people agree with that. Are we on board as a city? Can we get down with this movement? People are going to throw some boos, but I think Jared Goff it's the same energy as the playoff win against Matthew Stafford. It's about our guy. That's where the chant came from. We got our guy, Jared Goff. That, to me, is the best way to greet Caleb Williams on Thursday night.
Well, we've heard that chant in a number of different scenarios. Obviously, first playoff game, opposing quarterback gets announced, everybody's chanting Jared Goff. Love that. At the Red Wings games, at other venues, we've heard the Jared Goff chants. And there's a unique set of circumstances in this draft. And you always hear Roger Goodell gets up there, everybody boos him. He has, he's owned it, and he's kind of made it one of his little shticks, and people are going to boo him anyway. But when you have a rival, and that is the Chicago Bears, who have the number 1 overall pick, and the draft is being hosted in your city, you absolutely need to do something unique and different, because any city you go to, whether it was in Nashville, whether it was in, pick any city, boos are what people do.
Yep.
When they announce Caleb Williams, the chant should be Jared Goff, and it should be so loud that you can barely hear Roger Goodell make the Caleb Williams pick. Pick is in.
From the front of the stage all the way down to Hart Plaza, everyone's going to know when the pick is in and when it's Caleb Williams. And the city of Detroit has rallied around their own, and they have a chance to do it again in the face of one of your rivals trying to make their big moment happen. And for anybody who thinks, this is petty, this isn't classy, this is sports, this is rivalries. For anybody who says, and I want to head this off at the pass, what about bulletin board material and fueling the fire? That is a loser's mindset. The Detroit Lions are finally a winner.
King of the North.
Act like it. Oh, what if Caleb Williams uses this as extra motivation in the offseason? Good. Knock your socks off. The Lions are going to be motivated as anybody in the league to finish what they didn't do last year, win the whole thing. Caleb Williams as a rookie can't be someone that fears you. Caleb Williams as a 10-year vet can't be someone who you fear, because you trust what you're building, who you have in your locker room, the direction of your franchise. Bring it on is the attitude, not, oh no, what if this is used in a montage down the line and we look bad? You don't think like that. That is gone. That is the Lions mentality of yesteryear. Those are fans who didn't know better. Now we know better. We've been shown better. Act like it.
This is a home game. There's no different than hosting a playoff game where you want to make sure that the opposing quarterbacks know who is the best quarterback today. It's Jared Goff. You did it back in January. It's time to do it again. This is absolutely a home game. It's a rivalry. It's one of the things that sports does best. Now let it be known.
We have a ticket texter who says, instead of going with Jared Goff, Charmin soft. You think Caleb's soft. Another one says,
yeah,
cry to mama.
Yes. I mean, okay, I could insert any cat joke at this time. I won't, because I don't want to offend you.
Look at your restraint. It's unbelievable. Does Caleb own a cat?
Well, yeah. I mean, he's talked about
Oh, okay. I didn't know
his cats.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
okay.
and his pink phone.
I've seen the pink
all
phone.
Of these things.
The nail polish. People pointed that out.
None of these mean he is a good or bad quarterback. These are just things that fans will get a chance to pick on him about. This is sports. It's okay.
Caleb Williams cats. We'll take a look. Matt in St. Clair Shores. You're on 97.1.
Hey, all due respect, guys. There isn't a QB1 that's in, or I'm not, sorry, a QB1, but a cornerback one in this draft. Quinion Mitchell comes from a group of 5 conference that's run heavy. Jim can tell you, as a fellow Chippewa, there aren't good quarterbacks throwing to good receivers there. If we trade up to the mid-round of the first round, or trade to the mid of the first round to get Quinion Mitchell and trade for our first-round pick, which is going to be a great offensive lineman that's going to plug the line, and our second-round pick, which is going to solidify our defense, for taking a flyer on a cornerback who, come on, guys, he doesn't have the experience. There hasn't been a CB1 out of the NFL draft since Sauce Gardner, and before that, it wasn't even Charles. It was Deion Sanders. So in the last 40 or so years, there have been 2 CB1s that truly came out of the first round. Quinion's not going to be it. It's a complete gamble. If you really want to do something with the first pick to get a CB1, you got to trade it and go get somebody. But it's not going to be Quinion Mitchell, and we got to stop pretending like it is. It's a cute story because he's super close. But Quinion Mitchell, great player, but we need a CB1.
I don't care that he's from Toledo or from a run heavy. I'll give you Devin Witherspoon last year, run heavy Big Ten, and he was lights out for Seattle last year.
But he faced people like C.J. Stroud and, say what you will, J.J. McCarthy, team that Toledo lost to, put up 17 points in the MAC championship game. Like, at least Devin Witherspoon had competition against him. Bert Emanuel Jr. isn't coming through that door to let you up for 150 yards passing.
Matt, I appreciate the Bert Emanuel. No one else got that. That's the CMU running quarterback. Yeah. Matt, what if it's not a MAC corner? What if it's Terrion Arnold, the guy that many people thought was the better corner at Alabama over Kool-Aid McKinstry? What if they trade up for him?
If we're swapping first, I'm giving you, I'm more okay with that, but I don't want to jump up 15 picks I guess I'm concerned about getting a rookie cornerback who rookie cornerbacks are constantly picked on in the league and saying this rookie cornerback is going to be our savior. If you want to take that number 1 pick and trade to somebody's malcontent cornerback who has something to prove on a couple of years, I love Jair Alexander for a first-round pick, a guy that you can plug in and stop on that side. And guess what? You're giving up. Give Green Bay a first round to bring back a 6th. Why we wouldn't give up a first for Snead and that kind of money? Like, that's how you solidify one side of the field. You don't just bring in a rookie cornerback. It's so hard to be chasing Justin Jefferson, DJ Moore, Christian Watson.
Matt, I'm with you, but I think the pushback from the Lions would be we're not drafting Mitchell or Arnold for 2024. We're drafting him for the next 8 years, or
the Super Bowl window is open now.
Well, they don't care, Matt. I don't know, Matt. We can have that debate. They don't view it that way. So, I mean, that's part of the debate here. Is Brad Holmes is not going to compromise long term for short term. He's not going to push all his chips in, which is why the trade up is interesting to begin with, because the trade up is by definition cashing in some chips. He's done it before. Would he do it for a corner? They've done the most work on corners is why we've connected those dots. It doesn't mean anything, John. They may trade up for an edge rusher and go, well, those guys are actually worth it. Those guys can make an impact as a rookie and over the next 5 to 7 years. Right,
and just a little pushback on the whole Devin Witherspoon thing. They did not face Ohio State. He did not face C.J. Stroud. He did face J.J. McCarthy. And what was the toughest game that Michigan had in that season? Especially, looking at the way the defense played Michigan's offense.
Yeah, McCartney really struggled.
Yes.
I thought he was a little hypercritical of CB1s, too. I mean, to say Charles Woodson and then another guy, Champ Bailey, weren't CB1s coming out is awfully, awfully high standards.
Was Darrelle Revis a number 1 corner? First round pick out of Pitt,
I think it was like
right?
a 14th pick or something like that. I think people thought he was going to be good, not as good as he was. My problem with going corner, if you're going to trade up, is I look at last year's draft, and Christian Gonzalez went 17th right before Campbell. He had a really good rookie year. He graded over an 80 on PFF. I don't think any of these corners are as good as him. Now, cross-comparing drafts is one thing, but also you're talking about trading into that pick range, and you're going to get a corner who, at least in my opinion, isn't nearly as good as him. I kind of prescribe to the caller's theory in terms of rookie CVs take some time, man.
They can.
Overall, yes.
And Holmes has also said, I can get my corners later. He usually draft a corner somewhere. But
yeah, in a perfect world, or as John said, ideal, I would love to get an offensive lineman at their pick at 29, or if you got to do a little minor maneuvering to make sure you get somebody fine. And then defense in the second and the third, edge and corner based on, who's got the higher grade and who you can actually get. That, to me, would be an ideal use of the first 3 picks.
Yeah. I think the caller's point was, and he just didn't sum it up maybe the right way, was it's unless there is a CB1 in these, you're just as likely to find a good corner in rounds 2, 3, and 4 in the NFL draft as you are round 1.
All right, we got ticket text coming in on Draft Talk. Hello, 2 days away. We welcome it. And the Jared Goff chance. Is that the best way to greet Caleb Williams on Thursday night? It's 97-1.
Hey, the draft is here. A playoff season is here in hockey and in the NBA. So why not watch all these great events and dive into the best pool in history? That Stadium Swim. It's located at Circa Resort and Casino. You can catch all these moments at a viewing experience built for sports fans. Chill in one of the 6 pools on 3 different levels for a perfect view of the massive 40-foot-tall, high-definition screen. That's Stadium Swim. It's America's favorite place to watch all your sporting events. You've got swim-up bars, Insta-ready selfie walls, and one nonstop party. Score your perfect game day spot with cozy day beds, private cabanas, or grab a lounge at the center of the action. You can reserve your spot today. It's 365 days of sports poolside. It's located at Circa Resort and Casino in downtown Las Vegas on Fremont Street. Stadium Swim. All sports, all seasons. Book your spot today at circalasvegas.com.
That's what it ought to sound like.
Even
Thursday
more so.
night. Yeah, louder even. Welcome to the division. Welcome to Detroit. Welcome to Jared Goff City. That's how you welcome Caleb Williams. I think he should be greeted with Jared Goff chants. And we got a ticket texter who says, biggest moment of his life, and you want to ruin it by chanting someone else's name? Classy. Welcome to sports. Welcome to rivalries. Come on, buddy. Chicago's not going to do us any favors.
Right. I mean, if the shoe was on the other foot, you think they would have any amount of quote-unquote respect for the number one pick for the Detroit Lions? No. This is sports. This is rivalry. This is one of those few moments, and I mentioned this is a home game for the Detroit Lions. It is on our turf. It is on our terms, and we set those terms.
And again, I think it's the same energy as that home playoff game, to your point about home field.
Yeah.
That was, all the talk was about Stafford's return. And like it was a storyline for sure, but the city of Detroit said it's not about your guy, it's about our guy. When Caleb gets drafted and the Bears fans make the trip in and they're ready to sub, it's not about your guy. Reminder, who's in first? It's about our guy.
Yeah, and let's go back. When they announced that the draft was going to be in Detroit, like we had no idea at that time that we would be in this position. Coming off a trip to the NFC Championship game, we were probably at that time thinking, oh, wonder what top 10 pick we'll pick. Because that's 3-13-1.
Yeah.
Who thought that we were going to be in this position?
John, I've been called a lot of names on the ticket text. This is a first.
Oh, let's hear what this is.
Chanting Jared Goff when Caleb Williams' name is called is the most white trash thing I have ever heard. I'm ashamed of you guys thinking of that, signed Steve in Novi. I've been called a lot of things. White trash might be the first time.
Wow. I can't support that one.
No. He might be referring to you as white trash, too. You agreed with it.
That's fine.
Were you born in Livonia?
I was born in Livonia.
Okay.
What's the
Everybody's got it. I'm just kidding.
That's right. Example case one right here.
Some ticket text coming in on the draft and the philosophy. Again, we are counting down the days. I got the graphics on the screen. We're playing the little sounder coming back. It says, I would only be disappointed if they trade back if Powers Johnson is there. Mike listening on the Odyssey app. The idea that, hey, they may trade back if someone wants a quarterback, but you don't want to bypass a good football player either.
Right.
If the Lions want Jackson Powers Johnson and will take a defensive player in the second round, that's the way to go. The O-line's getting old and injured. They need to address it in this draft and not a year from now. Trade up scenario. Says trade up for Byron Murphy all day. If he's there 16 to 20, that's the guy to get. That's from Carl on the ticket text. All options on the table with Brad Holmes. Byron Murphy. People think he might end up being the best defensive player in this draft. I don't know. Lions already have Aleem McNeil, and they just signed DJ Reader. Doesn't mean they bypass the best player available, but I certainly wouldn't feel like I have to trade up to go get a player at a position that I feel like I'm pretty well set at.
Right. If you're going to trade up, you're basically creating the opportunity to go fill a need with that best player available.
People having issues with our last caller who talked about corners and number one corners. Jalen Ramsey, Lattimore, Sauce, Alexander, Pat Surtain, Patrick Peterson, Revis. The list goes on. First-round corners have turned out to be studs in the last 20 years. You just have to identify the guy. They're there.
Yeah.
Did that idiot say Hall of Fame corner Charles Woodson wasn't a number one corner? Dumbest call of the year. Signed Josh.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure the point he was trying to make. Was he saying like Woodson was the first corner drafted in his draft year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, fourth overall. He's top 5 pick. Yeah. And he played some safety, but he was also a corner. I don't even know what the guy was trying to say. He's like, you go all the way back to Deion Sanders.
No, I mean, you go back to Deion Sanders, and I mean, okay, you got Sean Springs was a third overall pick. He was a number one corner and played especially well. Champ Bailey was a teammate of mine, and he was a stud. Patrick Peterson. I mean, there's plenty of Tre'Davious White, who was a 27th overall pick. Plenty of guys that were number one corners or, top line corners.
You can tell draft coverage is ramping up because Doug and Gator are not in the studio with us right now.
That's correct.
They are
at the draft headquarters.
Mm-hmm.